It sounds like the Kurds are starting to enter the country with arms to help the people take out the last vestiges of the IRGC. There's a lot of good things happening. This is Iranians, and you can hear they are chanting Bibi June, Bibi Netanyahu. In Iran, they are chanting praise for Benjamin Netanyahu.
I didn't even see this. He's just regurgitating the deep fates, claiming Iranians are cheering for Netanyahu. How could anyone listen to him? There's no way people continue to listen to him. There's not one true thing he said in there, and these are like his big predictions for the war and the economy and the sanctions and the next leader and whatnot. Bro, Dave Rubin, you know, I definitely do not condone this, but for your sake, you know, it's probably high time you buy your last children up while you still can, because I don't think you're going to have much of an audience, much less any sponsors or revenue left when this all comes to a close, because who the hell is going to listen to you? You know, lots of young people do amazing things, but those we're looking at like revolutionary climates and eras, right? I think the main problem is just making sure that we have incorruptible people, because you look at the leaders of today, that's the real problem. The problem is not like, oh, they're too young, they're too old, they're too this, they're too that. The problem is that we don't have a generation of incorruptible leaders anymore. And those that we did have recently still here with us, most of them have been kidnapped by the U.S. or killed by the U.S. Uncorruptible, incorruptible, I don't know, whatever the right word is. Okay, let's look at this. So it's amazing to me that there are still so many people who don't understand how this whole thing is going to end with Iran. We know for a fact that Iran is not willing to give up some of the very clear points they've outlined, such as the tolls in the Strait of Hormuz. Although they've added a little fun trick this week. They said, well, we're not going to be charging any tolls in the Strait of Hormuz moving forward. We're happy to open up the Strait of Hormuz, but we are going to be charging some environmental and security fees for people. They're not tolls, right? Which is hilarious because it's the same thing that Turkey, they do in the Bosphorus. They say, oh, we have these environmental fees that we have to charge every single ship that comes in, right? There's actually a really great channel that broke down the problems of like tolls in different straits and passageway waterways and stuff, and like how most of the world literally just has like free and open passage. There's some exceptions, of course, and now Iran is going to be the latest addition. So they took the path that geopolitically polite path that Turkey took, saying they're not tolls, they're not just arbitrary tolls. These are environmental protection fees, right? So anyways, I don't know, but there are still people that don't understand where things are headed, such as Dave Rubin and his entire audience. If you don't believe me, take a listen to some of the greatest hits of Dave Rubin, a close friend of Ben Shapiro, and someone who I don't know, is he still a very viral commentator on the right? He's like, I think he is a gay man, and he's adopted some children, and he has some sort of a show. He has a book. I know he wrote a book one time. A lot of people made fun of the book. But let's hear what he has to say, because people still listen to this guy, I think.
Allow me to make a prediction here, and my prediction stuff, I'm not Polly Market, I'm not Kalshi, but I'm pretty good at predictions. And my prediction here is that everything that the media is now going to say about Iran's going to close the Strait of Hormuz and energy prices are going to go crazy and all these, none of this is going to come to pass.
We'll be right back with the video, but first, a major update from our sponsor, Saga Metals, trading as SAGMF in the United States and SAGA in Canada. Less than 48 hours ago, the company released news suggesting it may be sitting on one of the largest titanium vanadium systems on Earth. To put it in perspective, I'll show a comparison on screen to China's Panzihua deposit, a state-linked, multi-billion-dollar system responsible for over 40% of global vanadium supply and central to China's critical minerals dominance. The global vanadium and titanium market is worth over $50 billion annually, and Panzihua alone supplies more than 40% of the world's vanadium. Now enter Saga Metals with the radar project, which appears to dwarf the Chinese system in scale. Saga may control the largest known vanadium-titanium intrusive system on the planet. This shifts the conversation from exploration to continental-scale strategic supply security. If ongoing drilling confirms the early data, radar could become a massive North American titanium and vanadium supply source, major U.S. national security priority tied directly to next-generation technologies. Governments are already directing billions of dollars into securing domestic critical mineral supply chains to reduce dependence on foreign sources. The state-linked company behind the Chinese project is valued at over $3 billion, roughly 6,000% larger than Saga's current market cap, showing the scale of what's potentially developing here. North American mineral exploration is making a major comeback, driven by government mandates, strong drill results, and teams like Saga executing year-round. I didn't think the momentum around Saga could accelerate further, but less than 48 hours ago, it did in a big way. If you want to learn more about this critical minerals story, check out the link in the description. Special thanks to Saga Metals for sponsoring today's video.
Gas prices are coming down and will continue to come down. If the United States wants to keep the Strait of Hormuz open, which it does, and Donald Trump said we'll escort ships through if we have to, it's going to stay open. This is the leader of the Iranian opposition. He has been in exile. His name is Reza Pahlavi. We have shown you videos of him before. He's the eldest son of the former Shah of Iran, and he likely is the next leader of Iran. This is the guy that, by all accounts, when this war ends, will go in and he will be the leader. And again, it will be different. Just remember, it sounds like the Kurds are starting to enter the country with arms to help the people take out the last vestiges of the IRGC. There's a lot of good things happening. This is Iranians, and you can hear they are chanting Bibi June, Bibi Netanyahu. In Iran, they are chanting praise for Benjamin Netanyahu.
I didn't even see this. He's just regurgitating the deep feeds, claiming Iranians are cheering for Netanyahu.
And when you take out Khomeini and you take out his number 2 and his number 3 and his number 4 and his number 37 and his number 42, then suddenly the next guy's going, it's a little hot in here. Ha, ha, ha. And then people start behaving a little bit differently. They've plotted this war, this extraordinary war that will be studied for decades, right? For decades, they will study how this incredible war took place. That we are hitting critical infrastructure. We are damaging the regime, so hopefully the people will be able to take over their country. Now, the question is, if you're going to hit power plants and you're going to hit civilian infrastructure and things of that nature, how do you make sure it's not going to harm the people, but just the regime? And when we have a Department of War that is not looking for war, but will perform war, then we are going to do it at the maximum level of competency. I think the way you can look at this, I haven't heard anyone else say this, but this seems to me to be the war to end all wars. So allow me.
Look, Dave Rubin, Dave Rubin, what can I say? How could anyone continue to listen to him after every single prediction and statement of fact that he just put forward regarding the Iran war has either proven to be utter bullshit, or is in the process of being proved as utter bullshit? How could anyone listen to him? There's no way people continue to listen to him. There's not one true thing he said in there, and these are like his big predictions for the war and the economy and the sanctions and the next leader and whatnot. Bro, Dave Rubin, I definitely do not condone this, but for your sake, it's probably high time you buy your last children up while you still can, because I don't think you're going to have much of an audience, much less any sponsors or revenue left when this all comes to a close, because who the hell is going to listen to you? You literally just make stuff up on the spot. You're hanging around with your children that you purchase all day, and then you don't even know what's going on in Iran. So you come out here and you say these stupid things. Really concerning in so many ways. Anyways, let's talk about the facts on the ground regarding Iran. Well, this was put out by Axios by Barak Ravid, who is a Mossad agent, quite literally, like publicly, like a former Mossad agent or Unit 8200, one of the two. And he said that the U.S. proposal that was being discussed was a 60-day ceasefire extension between both sides, the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz with no tolls, which is hilarious because no tolls, but they're going to be doing environmental and like cleanup fees or something like that. So yes, there's still tolls, but the Americans are just that stupid that they're willing to fall for this / believe that no one is going to notice that Iran is still doing the tolls. The U.S. lifting its naval blockade on Iranian ports, Iran clearing the mines deployed in the Strait of Hormuz, Iran committing to negotiations on suspending uranium enrichment and the removal of its stockpile of highly enriched uranium, Iran committing to never pursue nuclear weapons, U.S. sanctions waivers to allow Iran to sell oil freely, Iran negotiating over the removal of its stockpile of highly enriched uranium, the U.S. negotiating possible sanctions relief and unfreezing Iranian funds during the 60-day period. U.S. forces that were mobilized in recent months would stay in the region during the 60-day period and would only withdraw if a final deal is reached, and the end of the Israel-Hezbollah war under the framework of the agreement. But Israel preserves freedom of action. So the war is over, but Israel can keep bombing. So basically, this whole thing was absolutely insane. And even some of like the goodwill measures that the U.S. had put forward, they have already reneged on, right? They've already reneged on these offers. So basically, I'm under the impression that war is about to continue. The Iranians are just trying to see if they can get the U.S. to unfreeze some of that 11, 12 billion that is in some of these foreign bank accounts before the war starts again, because I'm sure it would be nice. But the U.S. has like already, backtracked on many of the things that they even like put forward in the deal, which already were insane. The deal was insane in so many ways. Like the Iranians never would agree to that stuff. So while these negotiations are ongoing, Trump is posting things like this on social media, by the way, audios. Maybe he thinks Iranians speak Spanish. I don't know. And despite claims, Iran still firmly rejects transferring their enriched uranium stockpile abroad. So that includes to Russia. They refuse to, send it over to Russia, to Turkey, to China. Of course, to the U.S. They refuse transferring it to the U.S. Then we got this. So the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, would not be signed today. And then there was some big issues with the Memorandum of Understanding. Then we got the two main issues. The release of Iran's frozen assets. Iran wants most of it up front because they know that this deal is going to go nowhere and war is about to begin soon. So they just want to get some cash while they can. More importantly, number two, Iran's objection to the Israeli freedom of action in Lebanon in case of a ceasefire. Iran insists on an absolute ceasefire in Lebanon. Yeah, what is a ceasefire? What is an end to a war, as they put it in the Memorandum of Understanding, if Israel has freedom of action? Preserves freedom of action. So Israel gets to keep bombing Beirut, which, by the way, there's new reports right now that it looks like that has already started or is about to begin. Let's look at the recent headlines. Wow. Okay, here's what we have. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announces the IDF will intensify strikes against Hezbollah targets throughout Lebanon. If they hit, if they go on and they hit Bekaa Valley, if they hit Beirut, this whole MOU thing is over. And again, we're just back to square one where the war is going to start again. Israel's Broadcasting Corporation, Khan, announces the IDF may carry out a large wave of airstrikes in Beirut. That came in about 1 hour and 4 minutes ago. IDF Homefront Command announces the closure of schools in northern Israel starting tomorrow due to expected escalation with Hezbollah. Evacuations are currently taking place in Beirut. That was an hour ago. Israel's approved plans for Operation Arrows of Fire, which will include strikes in Beirut. So yeah, they're doing it again. So it's about to begin, probably tonight, and that's going to be that. And they're going to bomb the hell out of Beirut. And then the war is going to continue, exactly what Netanyahu wants, of course. Right? Trump gives Iran 5, 6, 7 days to finalize deal as no dust, no dollars talks continue. Americans now claiming that Iran has already agreed to hand over its uranium and that zero financial benefits will happen until they do so. But the Iranians have denied this each and every time, and they did so again this time. Trump posts more memes of like bombs being sent to go and blow up schoolgirls in Iran. Most of the negotiating process made since Friday has now been reversed as the U.S. has changed its mind on several key topics. Iran's semi-official Tasnim news agency posted at least half of Iran's frozen assets must be released up front as part of the MOU, and they should be immediately accessible to Iran. Iran has made zero commitments on nuclear issues. A ceasefire in Lebanon must be a complete stop to the war with no breaches. So we're at a point now where we're saying, okay, we're either going to have like some sort of a, continued southern action in Lebanon by the Israeli southern aggression in the south of Lebanon. The Iranians are trying to say, no, we need a total ceasefire. And then Israel comes in and they're like, actually, no, we're not going to do any of that. And we're going to do one of the largest, airstrike campaigns that we could do possibly on Beirut tonight. So everyone better evacuate. Okay. So that's where things are right now. It's not going to be moving anywhere, any good direction anytime soon. Oh, this was one of the craziest ones. The U.S. was demanding that the Iranians join the Abraham Accords, that they normalize relations with Israel. Iran's foreign ministry said the Islamic Republic of Iran does not recognize Israel, never will, as it is an illegal occupying entity. Therefore, it is impossible to engage in diplomatic relations with a usurping and genocidal regime, which is the greatest source of instability and crimes against humanity in the region. It would be better for Iran, which is a civilization that has existed for thousands of years, to be martyred in its entirety rather to engage in diplomatic relations or any other relations with the killer of Muslims. Oh, I think you understand the point they're trying to make there. And icing on the cake here, this is the greatest part of all. Trump also demands that Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Turkey, Egypt, Jordan, and Pakistan also sign the Abraham Accords and normalize relations with Israel as a condition of the Iran deal. Amazing. Amazing. What is the quickest way to guarantee that there will be no Iran deal? Do what Trump is doing right now. Demand Iran joins the Abraham Accords. Demand all these other countries join the Abraham Accords. Allow Israel to go in and do one of the largest airstrikes that we're going to witness tonight. I can only imagine how horrific this is going to be on Beirut. Yeah, we're not getting a peace deal. We're not getting a memorandum of understanding. That's for sure. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.